Okay, so in section 4.3, we're going to graph lines using their intercepts. Does anybody know what an intercept means? Yeah, it's where it crosses something, okay? So an x-intercept is where your graph of your line crosses the x-axis, and the y-intercept is where your line crosses the y-axis. Now, what I have highlighted in blue here is how you're going to find them, okay? To find an x-intercept, well, the y value is 0, right? On the x-axis, the y values are 0, right? So, to find where a graph is going to cross the x-axis, you're going to plug 0 in for y, okay? Same thing for a y-intercept. On the y-axis, all the x values are 0. So, if we want to find an y-intercept, I plug 0 in for x. So, for whatever intercept you're finding, you're going to plug 0 in for the opposite variable. Okay? Whatever intercept you're finding, you're plugging 0 in for the opposite variable. So, and an intercept is a point. It's an ordered pair where it's crossing the line. So we want to use x and y intercepts to help us graph the line x plus 2y equals 4. This is going to be so much better than making tables, I promise. All right, so we got two intercepts we can have. We can have an x-intercept and a y-intercept. Now, the only time you're not going to have both intercepts is if you have a horizontal or a vertical line. Okay, so if you have a vertical line, you're only going to have an x-intercept, and if you have a horizontal line, you're only going to have a y-intercept. Okay, so this is for slanted lines. So, what was in the box telling me how to get an x-intercept? What did it say to do? 0 in for y. So, here's my equation they gave me. So, to get the x-intercept, and y'all please label your work for me, we're going to say x plus 2 times 0 equals 4. So where they had a y, I put in a 0. And then you just solve that little bitty baby wimpy equation. 2 times 0 is what? 0. So that's just x plus 0 equals 4. So that is just x equals 4. So this line is going to be crossing the x-axis at 4. Make that an ordered pair. The x value is 4 because it says x equals 4. The y value is 0 because that's what I plugged in for y. And all y's are 0 on the x-axis. So there's my x-intercept, 0.40. Now how do we get a y-intercept? 0 in for x. So into my original problem there where they have an x, I put 0. So 0 plus 2y equals 4. Well, 0 plus 2y is just plain old 2y. How do I solve 2y equals 4? Divide by 2. And y equals 2. Now, what do you think is the ordered pair for where we're crossing the y-axis to 2? What point is that? 2. Right. That number goes in that spot, and the other one is 0. Right? All right, so now you got both the intercepts, the x-intercept and the y-intercept, so you're supposed to graph it. So you're going to just draw your x and y axis. And you're just going to graph those 2 points and connect them with a line. Now, 40 is on what axis? X-axis. Now, when you're graphing using intercepts, both points will be on axis. Okay? Both points will be on the axis. All right? And where's 0 to? It's up 2 on the y-axis, correct? So when you're graphing with intercepts, you'll have 1 point on the x-axis, 1 point on the y-axis, and when you get them both graphed, you draw a line through them. And make sure you put arrows on your lines. Arrows on your lines. Easy way to graph a line. 0 in for y to get your x-intercept, 0 in for x to get your y-intercept. Graph your 2 points. It better be on an axis. Connect them with a line. Okay? Let's do another one. This time my equation says 4x minus 8y equals 24, and it says to graph using the intercepts. So that means we need to find the intercepts. So I'm going to label my work. X-intercept and y-intercept. How do we get an x-intercept? We put 0 in for y. If we're finding x, 0 goes for y. So I say 4x minus 8 times 0 equals 24. What's 8 times 0? And 4x minus 0 is just 4x, right? So now I have the little baby equation 4x equals 24. How do I solve that for x? Divide by 4 everywhere, and x equals 6. So what's the ordered pair for my x-intercept? 6, 0. That's my point. Any questions on how we got that? All right. How do you get a y-intercept? 0 in for x. So it's going to be 4 times 0 minus 8y equals 24. Well, 4 times 0 is 0. What's 0 minus 8y? Negative 8y equals 24. And then what do? Divide by negative 8. And y equals negative 3. What's my ordered pair here? 0, negative 3. Okay? Any questions about how we got the two ordered pairs? All right, then you get ready to graph them. And where are your points going to be at? One of them's going to be on the x-axis, and one of them's going to be on the y, and it's got to be able to go all the way over to 6. So make sure you use your points to help you decide how to draw your graph. So 6 zeros at positive 6 on the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, way over there. And 0, negative 3 is where? Down negative 3 on the y-axis. I about missed that point. That's better. Make sure you put arrows on your lines. They're supposed to go forever. So technically, if you don't put arrows on your lines, it is wrong. Okay? They're infinite lines. Any questions on x and y intercepts? All right, you guys try this one on your own. Find me the x-intercept, the y-intercept, and then graph the line, please. You and your neighbor both finish off and check with each other. can y'all please tell me, how do we get an x-intercept? 0 in for y. So negative 3x plus 4 times 0 equals 12. And then the 0 makes 0, so that's negative 3x equals 12. Then what? Divide by negative 3 on both sides, and x equals what number? Negative 4. So what's the ordered pair for the x-intercept? Raise your hand if you got that part correct. Good job. Now how do we get the y-intercept? Change x into 0. So 0 goes for x. Everything else is the same. That part makes 0. 0 plus 4y is 4y. So 4y equals 12. Now what do? Divide by 4. And y equals what number? 3. And what's my ordered pair? 0, 3. So everybody get those two ordered pairs? And then you graph them where your point's going to be. Where's that at? Yeah, your x-intercept better be on the x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. And where is my other point? At what number? 3. And then you connect those with a line. Oh, I did not use a ruler, and you can tell. I'll just make that point fatter. There you go. Y'all do it too. Don't make fun. All right. Raise your hand if yours looks like that or even prettier. Okay. Good job. So any questions about graphing with intercepts? That's seriously as simple as it is. Now, this is even simpler. I'm not going to make you even draw this, okay? Just pay attention up here because it's really easy. Okay? Now, people see these and they freak out for some reason. But they give you a graph and all you have to do is locate the intercepts. Now, what are we looking for? Where the blue line is crossing the x-axis and where it's crossing the y-axis, okay? Got it? So, this first one, where are we crossing the x-axis at? Right there, right? Which is at where? 3, which is the point 3, 0, right? I didn't see anything funny about these lines, except that I drew them and they're probably crooked. What's the y-intercept for that first one? Negative 2. So what's that ordered pair?
0, negative 2.
Yeah, 0, negative 2 for a y-intercept. So is that easy or what? All right, y'all tell me, what's the x-intercept for the next one? It's right there. Yep. Yep, negative 3, so it's negative 3, 0. Y'all with me? What's the y-intercept for that one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5, so the point 0, 5. So any questions about finding intercepts if they give you a graph? Easy as pie. All right, that is the end of section 4.3. Now we're going to move into section 4.4. And if you want a separate piece of paper, you don't have to use graph paper for this one. If you want to just keep going on the same piece, that's fine. If you have the whole backing, that's fine. It's your notes. Whatever is best organizationally for you. And guys, if you're one of those people that get out paper for notes, always get out more than one piece of paper. If you just get out one, I'm just going to laugh and leave. You think we're just going to take one page of notes? Bless their little hearts. Bless their hearts. Never, ever, ever. All right, this is all familiar stuff, so I'm going to give you a second to jot it down. I hope it's familiar stuff anyway. It is familiar, right? Okay, good. I know you did. That's irrelevant. Wherever you went is irrelevant. You should have seen this at some point. And if you didn't, then I'm going to show it to you, and then you have no excuse. All right, so section 4.4 is talking about finding a slope and a rate of change. Now, a rate of change is also a slope, okay? We just sometimes call it a rate of change in some application problems. But anytime you see rate of change, I want you to think slope, okay? So there's two ways you can find a slope, depending on what kind of information you're given. If you're given two coordinates, two ordered pairs, you can use the slope formula, which is m equals, now m represents slope, okay? So anytime you say m, that you know it's talking about slope. I didn't know why it was m one day, and I Googled it, and there's some French word that means something about the steepness of a hill that it's referring to. So it's a French word. That's why it's m. And anyways, not a bad French word. You know those French words and those French words. This is like real French. Okay. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, what do you think those x's and y's are talking about? The x and the y's in the ordered pairs, right? Because every ordered pair has an x and a y. If we're given a graph, instead of doing the ordered pair formula, you can do rise over run, where you count your spaces, how many you go up or down, and then how many you go to the right. Okay? So there's two ways we can get the slope. If you get ordered pairs, you can do the formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If they give you a graph, you can just do rise over run. Okay? So we're going to practice using these formulas to find the slope of the line, which is how steep the line is. Okay? So they gave me two coordinates on number 1. The point's -4, and the point 2,6. And they want us to find the slope of that line. So we're going to use m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And yes, you will need to have that memorized by Wednesday for your quiz. Okay? So let's talk about those. If you have an ordered pair, you have x's and y's, right? Okay, every ordered pair has an x and a y in that order. If it's in the first ordered pair, they are the 1s. If they're in the second ordered pair, they are the 2s. Okay, first ordered pair is the 1s. Second ordered pair is the 2s. So, make yourself a fraction. We're going to plug it in. What number is our y2 number? 2. And then you're going to put a minus. Okay? You're always going to put a minus right there because it's in the formula. What is y1? I mean, no, I listened to y'all instead of looking, didn't I? Y2 is 6, right? Okay, thank you. Minus what is y1? 2. Over what is x2? Minus what is x1? -4. Now, I know we have a double negative, and we'll fix that in a second, okay? Then I subtract them. So what is 6 minus 2 in the numerator? 4. 2 minus -4 is the same thing as 2 plus 4, which is 6. And after you do that, you simplify your fraction. So what does 4 over 6 reduce to? 2/3. Now, y'all, you never want to put slope as a decimal, okay? We need a rise and a run, so we want slopes to be fractions or whole numbers, okay? So I like to put equals m when I'm finished. So there's my final slope. So 2/3 is the slope of the line between those 2 points. It's a positive slope. So that means my graph will be going up from left to right. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Here's another one. Just practicing finding slope. You've done this before. If you took any math class in junior high, you should have done this. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Label them if you need to. There's no shame in that. I would rather you label everything than plug everything in correctly. Yes. I would prefer that you do. Now, after our quiz on Wednesday, after you showed me that you can do it correctly, then I'll be okay if you drop it. But while we're in the learning stage, it just helps solidify it in our minds, writing things down more often. All right, so what's our y2 number? -4 minus y1, 2, over what's x2? 6 minus what's x1? -2. So always put a minus there, and if you need doubles, use parentheses, okay? So what is -4 minus 2? Over, that makes 6 plus 2, which is, and what does that reduce to? -3 over 4. So if my slope is a negative, does that mean the graph is going to be going up or down from left to right? The line's going to be going down from left to right. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. I promise. Look at C. -2, 4, and 4, 4. So, formula. M equals. Go ahead. Yep. All right, I'm not going to label mine now. Let's see if y'all can tell me the correct thing. What is y2? 4 minus what is y1? Over what is x2? Minus what is x1? -2. Okay? Then we simplify the numerators and denominators separately. What is 4 minus 4? 0. Over what is 4 minus -2? 4 plus 2, which is 6. What's 0 divided by 6? 0. 0 divided by anything is 0. So, if a slope is positive, it's going up from left to right. If slope is negative, it's going down from left to right. So what do you think a slope that is 0 is doing? It's a flat line. So what kind of line would that be? Horizontal. So memorize that. 0 slope is a horizontal line. Memorize that. Horizontal. 0 slope is a horizontal line. Bless you. So it just stays constant. It never goes up, never goes down, stays at 0 the whole time. Let's do one more with the formula. M equals, what's the formula? Over. Excellent. Can you guys tell me what is y2? 1. You don't know, label it. Minus what is y1? 5. Over what is x2 minus x1? 3. Any questions about how I plugged everything in there? All right. Do them separately. What is 1 minus 5? -4. What is 3 minus 3? What is -4 divided by 0? Don't equal 0. What does the calculator say? No, seriously, do it and tell me what the calculator says. Say. Error. Does it say why there's an error? Yeah, it is mathematically impossible to divide by 0. Y'all, you can't divide something into nothing. You cannot divide something by nothing. Okay? You can't divide something by nothing. So, what's the difference in this one and this one? This one does equal 0, right? And your calculator would confirm that. And this one is impossible. You can say 0 divided by a number because anything times 0 equals 0, so 0 divided by anything will also equal 0. Okay? But a number divided by 0 can't happen. We call this slope undefined. Okay? It's an undefined slope. Now, what kind of line do you think has an undefined slope? A vertical line. Memorize that. A vertical line is undefined. A vertical line is undefined. It kind of like goes together, it sounds like it. Vertical line is undefined. Now, here's something else I remember, okay? If 0 is on top, it's the boss. It's the answer. If 0 is underneath, it's undefined. Okay? Okay? Y'all with me? If 0 is on top, it's the answer. If 0 is underneath, it's undefined. I don't know why you have to make a comment over everything I say. It's getting old. All right? Y'all with me? If 0 is on top, it's the answer. If 0 is underneath, it's undefined. Now let's talk about why a vertical line is undefined. Vertical line goes straight up and down, all right? Okay? A slope is the measure of how steep something is. Can you measure how steep vertical is? No, it's so steep it's immeasurable. Does that make sense? So that's why it's called undefined. Okay? You cannot measure how steep vertical is because it's perfectly steep. Right? So, a vertical line is undefined. Memorize those. They show up on your test, hint, hint, which I actually made yesterday. All right, so here's just some little sketches of what they look like. You don't have to write this down because it's pretty self-explanatory. A positive slope, let me scroll down a little bit. I kind of talked about this, but this is just a visual. A positive slope is when your graph, the blue line is my graph, is going up from left to right. Y'all, you read slopes and graphs like you read words on a page from left to right. Okay? So this one, a positive slope is going to be a line that goes up from left to right. Negative slope is going to be a line that goes down from left to right. We already said a 0 slope is a horizontal line and an undefined slope is vertical. Okay, so there's just some visuals. Last thing we're going to talk about real quick. The very last thing, and y'all don't even have to you don't have to draw the graph. Okay? But what if they give you a graph and ask you to find the slope? Yes, sir. Why would you start at the bottom, though? Yeah, well, this one is this, okay, y'all tell me this. Does this graph have a positive slope or a negative slope? How do you know it's negative? It's going down from left to right, okay? So you could do something to get this called rise over run. M equals rise over run. So if I'm given a graph, that's how I like to get my slope. Now, you absolutely could write down this ordered pair and this ordered pair and do the slope formula. You can. I'm not going to tell you you can't do that. You can absolutely do that and get it correct, okay? But to me, it's quicker to do rise over run if they give me the graph already drawn for me, okay? So you're going to start at the point that's on your left. Pick a point on the left side because remember we graphs from left to right. So this point is the furthest left. Does it go up or down to get to the next point? It's going down, right? So my rise is negative. If you go up from left to right, your rise is positive. If you go down, your rise is negative. And I go down how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my rise is -6. Does that make sense to everybody? If you go up, it's a positive number. If you go down, it's negative. So now I'm to right here. And then I go which way to the right? 1, 2, 3. Now my advice to you is always run to the right. Okay? So I go to the right, 3. So rise is up or down. Your run is to the right. Okay? And then I reduce it. Last thing, what is negative 6 over 3 reduced to? Negative 2 over 1 or just negative 2, either one. Okay? So that's how you do it from a graph. You start at the left point, you go up or down however many spaces, write that number down for your rise, then you go to the right, count those spaces, and lastly you fix your fraction. Okay? So that will just come with practice, which you will have on your worksheet in just a moment, and that's the end of my lesson. Have a good day.